Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Hands, and I'm the Supplier Diversity Program Manager for the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. I'm also the Chairman of the Board for the Chicago MSDC. Welcome to day 2 of our virtual MBE to MBE exchange during the Federal Reserve's signature Supplier Diversity Initiative called Business Smart Week. This is our 8th year of Business Smart Week, and I'm proud to partner with the Chicago MSDC and the Council's MBIC committee on this initiative. Our Supplier Diversity Program serves as a value-generating partner to the business community by convening experts to transfer knowledge and provide you with the tools to better manage your business. Supplier diversity aligns directly with the Federal Reserve's mission to foster a strong economy and maximize employment as diverse businesses help to support the economic base in the communities in which they do business. This year's Business Smart Week focuses on helping businesses during this unprecedented time with information and smart strategies for you to gain access to opportunities. Over the last 9.5 years, while I've been at the Federal Reserve, we have hosted numerous meetings exploring obstacles small businesses face in gaining access to capital. But clearly, one of the most important issues facing minority entrepreneurs today is deciding whether to stay in business, grow your business, or pivot to new strategies. We are committed to supplier diversity, and we value our relationship with the Chicago MSDC and the MBIC committee, and would also like to thank our new president and CEO, Vince Williams, his staff, MBIC chair, Joyce Johnson, and Jared Kelly of CEI Media for helping put this program together today. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this session. As I mentioned, we have a new president and CEO named Vince Williams. Vince became our new president as of July 1st and becomes the 5th president in more than 50 years of the council's history. We are excited to have Vince as our new president and CEO, and we are confident that he will bring fresh and new ideas and execute those ideas to support the entire supplier diversity ecosystem. Vince joins us from the YWCA Metropolitan of Chicago, where he served as Vice President of Economic Empowerment and the Director of the Illinois Small Business Development Center. He has over 25 years of executive level experience in corporate America and with the large nonprofit organizations. Please welcome our President and CEO, Vince Williams.
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate that. Am I getting some feedback there? Okay, a lot better. Thank you so much. Wow, when you say it like that, Mark, it sounds like I've been at this a very long time and I just turned 21. I'd also like to thank the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago for this collaboration of CBOF53 and, of course, Business Smart Week 2020. As Mark mentioned, we have an incredibly supportive board of directors, and under his guidance as chairman, I want to thank each of them as well. On behalf of the Chicago MSDC and Northwest Indiana MSDC staff, welcome. Panelists, attendees, everyone that will attend the events that we have planned for this Business Opportunity Fair. Today's virtual conference is sure to be full of a ton of great nuggets of information for you guys to take in. So the council's excited again that you decided to join us today. But as you know, there's several opportunities out there for businesses to develop online. So I hope you'll continue to look towards the Chicago MSDC as a primary resource for a lot of these types of events. We're developing a new cadence for our value proposition in the marketplace. We have an abundance of resources within our programs that include, of course, our MBDA business centers here in Chicago. We also have another that's in St. Louis, our MBDA Export Center that's here, as well as Discover Africa that has a ton of great resources for those looking to import and export with Africa. And then we just expanded our services under the MBDA Cares, which provides additional assistance for those minority businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention about our Illinois Tollway Technical Assistance Center. With that, we have our PIPE program, which stands for Progress, Insight, and Performance Education. And what this is an 8-week business training program, and we're actually currently taking applications for our cohort number 3 that will start in the fall. We really want to send a big thank you to Aramark, who is providing the training for the MBEs that apply to the PIPE program. And what that actually is a $2,500 value for that class, so the MBEs can actually take advantage of this PIPE program with a scholarship for that, meaning that they will not have any out-of-pocket cost. And as we know, with this pivoting in the pandemic, things like this and value adds like that are going to be very great for them. With that, yes, please continue to engage with the council here. Our team together, we're laser focused on connecting these dots for business to business development, growth, connecting, and contracting within this marketplace. It's interesting that I said connecting the dots, because that's the theme for the 53rd annual Chicago Business Opportunity Fair. And this pandemic is actually forcing us to think and perform differently. So today, this great example of this virtual conference series that we're creating, let us know how we're doing. And then what we also love for you to do is to share your attendance and maybe some of the things that you've learned throughout the virtual workshops by clicking or making sure that you hashtag CBOF53. Again, that's hashtag CBOF53. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to our presenting sponsor, Allstate, the Chicago MSDC team, and the Chicago Business Opportunity Fair Committee, all of our partners, all of our producers, of course, CEI Media Group, who helped produce the actual events for this. But then in closing, I want to thank our honorary chairs, Rona Forte with United Airlines, Sue Batija with Rose International, and Joyce Johnson with Anchor Staffing. Joyce is not only one of our phenomenal MBEs, but she also volunteers a lot of her time and chairs our Minority Business Enterprise Input Committee, MBEIC. And what that is a committee that advocates for MBEs to enhance minority economic development. Very critical today. We appreciate Joyce, and we thank her for all that she contributes to the council. And so with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Joyce Johnson, President and CEO of Anchor Staffing, Inc. Please enjoy the webinar. Did I lose you, Joyce? Are you on mute?
Joyce, you're on mute. Joyce.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. It continues to be an honor to serve as the chair of the Minority Business Enterprise Input Committee for the Chicago MSDC. The MBEIC provides valuable input to the council stakeholders with regard to issues and concerns that affect minority business owners. It is a pleasure to welcome you to this virtual Business Smart Week. I am excited about the programs that the council team and the Federal Reserve staff have lined up. Virtual workshops that provide business owners with information about bridging the gap digitally. A discussion about how this pandemic has impacted business, strategies to maximize MBE certification, and then receiving tips on how to pitch your business with technology are sessions that opportune. I will be tuned in. As the chair of the MBEIC, I encourage each of you to tune in as well. It is imperative that we evolve into the new normal of business together. Thank you.
Thanks, Joyce and Vince, for those welcoming remarks. I want to introduce our first speaker, and it's not only he's helped put this program together, but it's Jared Kelly. Jared is the president and principal consultant for CEI Media Group, a Chicago-based digital intelligence firm and award-winning supplier of data, design, digital strategy, communication services. Jared is responsible for ongoing management, continuity, and execution of integrated digital strategy, virtual engagement, and event-based programs that drive revenue growth, expand outreach, improve operational efficiency. At CEI Media Group, Jared orchestrates a team of graphic designers, producers, and project managers to deliver high-quality creative projects and technical solutions for corporate clients, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations. Jared spent more than 15 years as a corporate professional with progressive roles in accounting, finance, sales, and marketing, mastering his unique ability to balance graphic art direction, photography, and video production with executive communications, data analytics, and digital implementation. Jared began his first entrepreneurial endeavor in 2002 and has co-founded 2 enterprises in the past 10 years. So please welcome Jared Kelly.
Thank you, Mark. I greatly appreciate that, and I also want to take a moment just to say thank you. Thank you to the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council as well. You know, all of our friends at the council, including especially Cynthia Jordan, who gave us our first opportunity to work with the council at a CBOF more than 14, 15 years ago. So I'll give you a little bit of background about our organization, our business. We are a certified minority business enterprise. We were founded in 2002. One of the things that we try to focus on is always delivering the best possible products to our client, or best possible services to our clients. We focus on data, design, digital strategy, and communications. That gives us a chance to not only be creative, but we're also very analytical. So my background gives us an opportunity to not only bring true kind of corporate values and corporate solutions, but we also can do that at a very micro level for smaller businesses who may just need a small project taken care of for them. In this particular session, we're going to have a conversation about video and presentations, not only for your own personal brand, if you are a corporate member or you are a corporate representative or a representative of one of our support agencies, but also for minority business enterprises like ours, smaller businesses that really need to utilize more technology to give us an advantage, to give us an opportunity to still connect or be connected to our clients. So in this particular session, I want to give you a couple things to look forward to, and as well to give you some idea of what to expect. We've already kind of done this initial meet and greet and getting warmed up. I'll give you a few scenarios wrapped in the best practices. It's just really a top 10 list of areas that you should focus on in terms of improving your presentations. As well, we'll talk a little bit about video capabilities, that opportunity to take what you do if you are an MBE, a minority business enterprise. If you're MBE, you have that opportunity to engage and present yourself to a corporation. There's an opportunity to do it through video, and that's what we'll discuss when it comes to video capabilities. And why is that important? Because that might give you an opportunity to prepare for a video matchmaking session, which is what Mark is going to talk about after I'm done. Practice, practice, practice. That's everything. I want to definitely emphasize that. And as well, we'll talk about that. If we have a chance to practice today, then we'll get into it. If not, then we'll have to skip that for now. And certainly you can contact us at another time, and we'll be happy to help you. I'm sorry. We'll be happy to help you and make your presentations that much better if we can improve upon your already existing skill sets. When it comes down to the interactions today, keep your video cameras on. I love to see those. We love to see those as well. Just check on your mute. If you don't know how to mute yourself, we'll help you with that, certainly. The chat room's available not only for comments and interactions, also available if you have questions, and there's a reactions button down there. That reactions button gives you a nonverbal way of giving a thumbs up or clap hands, and if you like what you're hearing, then certainly give us some feedback and interaction. It always feels much more comfortable that way. And then lastly, if there's anything in addition that you might need outside this presentation, then certainly let us know. We'll be here to help you. Now, let's get into the top 10 list. When it comes down to the things that we're going to discuss today, the platform, the device, your webcam, light, sound, tools, environment, even the apparel and style. Our on-screen content is important as well, how we prepare and test. Wow. All right, let's talk about platforms. When we talk about platforms, right now we're currently using Zoom. There are several other platforms that are available, and we use them all the time. I don't know if you use them, but this is just a small list. When it comes to WebEx, that's a very powerful tool. Google Meet is definitely utilized. Microsoft Teams has really grown, and they've been able to upgrade their platform considerably during COVID-19, because I don't think it was utilized very much in the very beginning. And lastly, I'll just recognize that EventDesk is highlighted because for the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council, they will be utilizing this particular tool when it comes to the video matchmaking. So I just want to kind of throw a little bit of an asterisk or a note about that to keep that in mind. Let's talk about devices. Obviously, there's several types of devices. Laptops, you've got desktops, computers, you've got mobile devices, various ways that you can get online and do a broadcast. The tools that give you the strongest internet connection are usually going to be the best ones. So if your laptop or your desktop has the ability to have a connected wire or connected internet, then that hardwired connection is going to give you the safest and most trustworthy communication. But that's not always the case. So sometimes we have to use Wi-Fi, whether it's a mobile device or otherwise. If you have a device that can alternate between Wi-Fi and cellular service, that might also be even better, because it gives you the alternative based off the strength of your connectivity in that particular location. The other thing to consider is when we have multiple devices in the same location. When that is the scenario, it can be helpful, but you have to turn off all of the audio sound features of all the other computers or devices that are not the primary. So that there's no feedback looping, or you don't hear that really high pitched screech that can occur when devices are too close to each other. And then lastly, if you're still doing some phone-in calls to do your presentations, that probably should be a last resort. It should be an exception to the rule, but it's still a possible option if the host has allowed it. Let's talk about webcams. Webcams are obviously the most important part when it comes to being able to broadcast video, and knowing how to turn on your built-in camera is essential. The onboard or built-in camera is a great way to broadcast, because you don't need anything external. That when that green light comes on, you know it's broadcasting. It's definitely something you want to pay attention to. And then also, you want to know where your camera is located. Partially because you will notice that when we all have this tendency when we're doing Zoom calls or otherwise, when we see ourselves, we're managing ourselves, right? So our eye tends to look directly at where we are being seen on the screen versus where the camera is. So one of the tricks that I try to help myself with is to put a marker by the webcam to remind me to look here. Another great example of what we can do with webcams is utilize an external webcam. That external webcam gives you additional options. While I don't use them very frequently, it is an option to help frame a scene. So it gives you more options there. We always want to use HD camera or 4K camera, something that gives us the highest quality production level and the highest quality picture. So there are various manufacturers, and clearly you can go through Amazon. I like using Amazon and do some comparisons to see what comments people are giving or what recommendations they're giving in terms of cameras that they've utilized. That's probably going to the community is a great way to find out if it's a good choice. But definitely consider buying a camera. If you're going to buy an external camera, buy one that fits within your budget. You don't have to go so big when it comes to an external camera. And then lastly, if you do have a device like a mobile phone or a tablet that has a reversible camera, That allows you to do some unique things if you're doing demonstrations or you need to show something else in the room. Very hard to do that when you're doing a laptop, using a laptop with a built-in camera. So those are some great ways to look at the webcams. When it comes down to lights, lighting is everything. I've seen so many different cases where people are in the dark, or their office or their home is just not projecting enough light. So the way we come across in our professionalism makes a world of difference if people can see you, or the shadows. If you have lighting that's coming from the top and is broadcasting down on top of your forehead, then it can create shadows on your eyes. If you have a window, and that window is behind you, then it's going to be a backlighting situation, which puts you in the dark because your camera is actually reading more light behind you and it's trying to make the adjustment. So that conflict is where the the backlighting comes from, and it puts you in a shadow. So you want to face the light and have your camera away from the light. The last thing I'll give you just a quick brief warning about is certain rooms in your home. If you're broadcasting from your home, they have different lighting, right? Like your bathroom light is going to be different from the light in your living room. The temperature of those light bulbs makes a world of difference in terms of the color that's projected to the camera. Let's talk about sound. One of the things that I'd advise you to do is know the location of where your built-in microphone is. Knowing that location is important because if you are in a situation where you're using your built-in microphone, the further away you are from that microphone, the more air is between you and the microphone. And what happens is it just creates it starts to become muffled, or it just becomes very distant. And that is correctable if you decide to use headphones of various types. You got all kinds of headphones. You've got headphones with big speakers and a microphone. I'm using headphones right now. I also use my iPhone headphone set because it's very convenient to just plug in and get right to the meeting, and the microphone is right by my voice or right by my mouth, so it projects my voice even stronger. And lastly, I would like to tell you that one of my recommendations to everyone is when you're coming into a group meeting and your microphone is on, if you are trying to find out if people can hear you, try to speak to the host instead of just yelling, "Can you hear me?" When you yell that into a room, typically you'll get multiple people that will say, "Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you." That's just kind of awkward. So what I'd recommend is just you say, "Hey, Mark, can you hear me?" If the host can hear you, then you should be good. Lastly, always be friends with the mute button. You never know when you're going to need it. Let's talk about a few tools. Now, there's all kinds of tools that are available, but I'm just going to highlight a couple that might help you in your presentations. One would be a paper stand that you can put by your screen. That gives you a chance to prop up your text. It gives you a chance to keep your head up so that you don't have to drop your head looking down at your desk the entire time when you're doing a presentation. The other thing I would say is trying to advance your slides. It might be easier to use a presenter's slider. That gives you a chance to move each slide one at a time versus using your mouse. My mouse has a little roller on it. Every time I try to use my mouse to manipulate my slides, it never fails. I'm going to bump into that roller and it's going to advance my slides further than I want. The last thing you can do is use a riser for your laptop to get your camera more in alignment with your eye level, or maybe even higher than eye level. The other way you can do that is to have a nice chair that you can lower your chair down to your camera's level. So those are some tools to give you a better advantage when presenting. Wow, we're getting through this. Let's talk about the environment. When it comes to the environment, I'm talking about everything from the background, your controlled environment, where you're broadcasting from. Right now, I'm in my office with my door closed. If someone comes in and knocks on the door, then they're just going to disrupt this entire broadcast. But when it comes down to it, it's really about not only the noise, the sounds, what you're seeing that may or may not be distracting, and what might be distracting behind you. So when we have any type of presentation, I like to try to generally use a virtual background just so that people don't have to stare at a white wall that's behind me. Or if I'm at home, I may be uncomfortable with showing certain people the inside of my home. Not because I have so many nice things, it's just that maybe I didn't clean up that much that day, or maybe I just don't really want to project too much of my personal space to an audience that I'm not comfortable with. So with that in mind, utilize the tools that are available for you. If you have a virtual background, for instance, Zoom allows you to utilize that background the same way I'm doing right now. I'm also taking an additional step using a green screen. That green screen gives me a chance to project a little better when using a virtual background, so you don't see so many tails of light. Well, those tails of light basically are projected when the background graphic has light behind it and it starts to bleed through your background or your virtual background. So we use a green screen and it makes the background that much stronger. Now, quick thing about apparel and style. I've seen great videos, they are hilarious, but I don't want to be on any videos where I'm projected not wearing the right clothes. And I'll give that example because there's just been a ton of scenarios where guys are wearing shorts with the suit on, or some type of casual shirt that sends the wrong message. Unless it's intentional, unless you're intentionally trying to broadcast that as a professional, I would try to avoid that. The other thing, just simple advice, we move around a lot. I talk with my hands, so I try not to wear a bracelet because it tends to clink, especially if I'm typing. The other thing, that can also happen with a watch, a very nice watch, a metal watch band. The other thing to consider is when you have bright accessories on that kind of bling or reflect light. So that can be distracting to an audience as well. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. As we start to wrap up, just two quick things when it comes to our top 10 list. On-screen content, and as well, we'll talk briefly about practice and preparation. On-screen content, wow. One of the biggest things that I see is in our failures and our successes comes down to what's being shared. When we share on Zoom or other platforms, it gives you the option to share by desktop or by a specific program. We always want to share by a specific program. Reason being is that there can be several things on the desktop that you don't want broadcast. While that's not always the case, it's just the safer way to go. If you're having trouble broadcasting, meaning you're trying to do a share and it just won't allow you to do so, that could be two reasons. One could be the administrator has blocked you or the host has blocked that feature. The second could be that you haven't allowed the application access from your computer. So it depends on the computer, depends on the device. My laptop requires Zoom to be an approved application versus my desktop, which does not require that. I don't know the differences or why they're designed that way, but when I've ever had trouble with a platform, it's typically because I have not allowed that platform or that application access to my desktop. So those are some features or some tips when it comes to on-screen. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're broadcasting video can be very tricky. Video that is broadcast streaming from like YouTube or otherwise is relying on the speed of the internet, speed of the device, and that can fluctuate. So it's probably better to try to broadcast video from the actual hard drive. The other part about that is that some platforms will separate the person's speaking level or the video side versus the audio. That's very difficult to fix. You might need someone with more advanced experience to help you fix that or to adjust that. That might just be switching from one source to another, but it's definitely something you should watch out for. And then always maximize sound, especially for Zoom when you're sharing video, because that way it'll broadcast the sound out to the audience. The last thing I'll tell you is that we spend a lot of time trying to prepare for videos. If it's a short video, then you can embed that in PowerPoint. That's a great tip. The other side is if it's a longer video, then you might want to create a link in your PowerPoint slide that allows you to click one time and launch that video. So that way you don't have to switch screens. You might have to switch screens back to your PowerPoint after the video is done, but at least you can get to the video pretty easily. Finally, we have reached number 10, preparation and testing. If you're presenting, obviously a lot of things can go wrong. Preparation is everything. I'd say if you're very uncomfortable presenting, practice, utilize your friends, utilize your staff, utilize anyone that's willing to listen and give you feedback, but try it out. Start your own Zoom meeting, start your own WebEx meeting, use your Google Meet with friends and just ask them about your lighting, ask them about your sound to see if it looks good, ask them about your wardrobe to see if it's distracting or if it's comfortable. So those are some ways of just, we all know these things, we just need to be reminded. Those are some ways just to improve your presentations and give off a much more professional branded approach to how we engage. So with that in mind, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time and attention. I am going to transition to one quick thing, capabilities videos. The reason why I'm transitioning to capabilities videos is because this is the new way of marketing now. Video is important. It's extremely important. But now we have to consider our ability to communicate things that used to be communicated via paper, physical marketing material, or maybe even a PDF. You can create a short video, 90 seconds, to give your elevator pitch. That way people can get an idea about your company. You can put it on your website. You can attach it to that PDF so that PDF comes alive. In this particular case, I would say, just determine what you want to say through your capabilities video. Use an attention getter. If you're a great storyteller, I am not. If you are a great storyteller, then tell a great story. I see those all the time when I'm watching investor pitch competitions. They're so seamless. They get you right involved. They help you understand what the problem is and how they solve that problem. When it comes down to it, make your video simple. If you aren't a great storyteller, just make your video simple. Introduce yourself, introduce the company, promote not only what you have done, but really why you're in existence. And then ensure that you show the client that you understand their pain points, you understand their problems, and you or your business has the ability to solve those problems. How do you attack those problems, and how do you attack those problems in a way that differentiates you from other businesses? Wow. Sounds like a lot, but it can be done all in 90 seconds. With that, I'll give you an invitation. Mark's going to talk a little bit more about this, but when it comes down to it, this September, there's an opportunity to do business with the Federal Reserve Bank. So our minority business enterprises, you have the ability to get in front of the Fed buyers for a 15-minute video conversation and introduction. Before you get that opportunity, need to submit a video capabilities statement. That's why I went through that. So this is a great opportunity. The Chicago Business Opportunity Fair is connecting the dots in this particular situation for opportunities for contracts. So what Mark is going to explain to you shortly is all these things that I've given you, all these tips that I've given you today can be employed, can be utilized to improve your presentations. And this is an opportunity to start today. So I thank you for your time. I think this has been a great opportunity to share. I know there's a lot more that we can talk about. I do realize that these are a lot of basic points, but we see it every day. We see it every day where we're getting on a call and you just wish someone was giving a little bit of a better presentation than they're giving. So I want you to protect your brand. We try to protect our brand as much as possible, as well as our brand for our clients. When it comes down to it, we're all just human, but hopefully, you can take these tips and improve your presentations and elevate your game. So, all right. So doing business with the Federal Reserve Bank, I want to make sure that I take a moment to introduce Mark. Mark Hans, Supplier Diversity Manager, Program Manager for the Federal Reserve at the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Mark joined the bank in November of 2010 and has been recipient of several awards, including the President's Award for Excellence, and as well with Diversity MBA Magazine being listed in the top 100 under 50 executive emerging leaders. Mark serves as the chairman of the board of directors for the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council, and he's also a member of WBDC's Chicago Regional Advisory Committee and former co-chair of the Financial Services Roundtable for supplier diversity benchmarking and best practices. Mark holds a degree in economics from the University of Wisconsin-Madison and an MBA from Lake Forest Graduate School of Management. And with that, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Thanks, Jared. Really appreciate that introduction. One of the things I want to do today is give you an overview of the Federal Reserve system and the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, tell you a little bit about what we do, what we buy, and then we're going to have a unique opportunity for you all going forward in terms of we're going to build off of what Jared has shared with us and have a business smart pitch type of activity for our one-on-one matchmakers at CBOF in the fall. So all of this will kind of play into that. So with that, Congress, just an overview of the Federal Reserve. Congress created the Federal Reserve back in 1913 to serve as a central bank of the United States. They wanted it to provide a safer, more flexible, and more stable monetary and financial system. There's really three basic functions of the Federal Reserve. They gather and analyze the regional economic data, and from that data and that analysis, they develop our monetary policy. As you'll always hear talk of raising and lowering interest rates, at the amount you can borrow money, the cost of borrowing money. We also supervise and regulate the financial institutions, and we provide financial services. So we process currency, check and electronic payments for banks. So the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago is the 7th district. We're one of 12 banks across the country that make up the central banking system. So along with the Board of Governors in Washington, D.C., our district or region consists of Iowa, Wisconsin, most of Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. We have approximately 1,500 employees in Chicago, and we have a large branch in Detroit where we have close to probably 150 employees. So one of the things we did last year, I would imagine that historically, supplier diversity has been housed in with procurement and finance. But one of the things that we did last year we moved supplier diversity into our D&I space, diversity and inclusion, as we wanted to have a more strategic approach around diversity and inclusion. And what we do is supplier diversity. Now, we serve as a value generating partner for the bank, and we're strategic consultants within the bank to our business units, and we provide guidance to our employee support networks. We build community partnerships, and we're part of the financial services pipeline. And one of our key initiatives is to fulfill the mission of the Office of Minority and Women Inclusion. You know, our supplier diversity program has been pretty successful over the last 9 years. Our diversity spend has increased from 8% in 2011 to over 21% in 2019. You know, the last 2 years, we've exceeded 20%, and we continue to perform better than the overall system and outperform industry averages. So our basic procurement process, and this is a high-level process. This process is really built for our facilities, operations, but what we do with supplier diversity is we work with our business units and in the first 2 stages of understanding what the requirements are, and then what the business unit's operational needs are. And after that, the RFP is developed and issued, and then we bring in suppliers if they're going to be doing work on projects within our facility. We have walkthroughs through our building, and it's an opportunity for vendors to ask for additional information. And then they submit their bids, they give presentations, and then we have the evaluation and the award. So our general RFP process, one of the things to get an overview of our procurement is that you have to remember, we're not the government. We're not the federal government, and a lot of the Fed name really throws a lot of businesses off. But so what that means is we don't follow GSA pricing. We don't follow the Federal Acquisition Regulations or the FAR. We have our own procurement guidelines. We call it the MAG, or the Model Acquisition Guidelines. And really, there's different thresholds in which we bid. So less than $35,000, we only need one written quote for an opportunity. Between $35,000 and $250,000, we require at least 3 written quotes, and above $250,000 requires a full RFP. One of the requirements we have to ensure that we have inclusion within our procurement process is that we require at a minimum at least 1 MBE and 1 WBE on each of our RFPs over $35,000. And then our internal stakeholders are the ones that develop the scoring criteria, and then they're evaluated. One of the things that's really important I want contractors to know is that, as you can imagine, there's billions of dollars in our bank, and we have a lot of sensitive information. So we really require strict requirements to get into our building. You have to have a badge. You have to all the vehicles, toolboxes, anything that enters into our building has to be inspected. Now, in some cases, there's separate buildings, but in our case, it's all in one location downtown, where you go. Everything goes through detectors and it's inspected. And then we require background checks for everyone to enter our building. There's 2 levels of security that we have in clearance to get into our building. So level 1 is for standard clearance areas and technology. So it requires a standard background check supplied by the bank. Checks usually can be completed in 1 to 2 hours. It requires visitor notification for work days. So before you can enter into our building, we would need to know a few days in advance that you're coming. And that type of a clearance expires 1 year from your first approval date. And then we have level 2 for high security areas and technology. It requires fingerprints, background check completed in 3 to 5 business days. And you may get a picture badge if you've come into the building frequently. And that usually expires 3 years from the date of approval. So these are the things that we buy in general. And usually we have 3-year contracts, as I mentioned, and we always put them out to bid after we exercise our option years. So as you can imagine, you may see that strange that we buy ammunition, and you said, well, yeah, we have our own law enforcement unit on site because there's billions of dollars of cash being processed on a daily basis in our bank right there on Jackson and LaSalle. So we have heavy security, and so our law enforcement need ammunition, but we also buy things like artwork, automobiles, copiers, anything that any large commercial bank would buy. Then obviously we maintain our facilities through housekeeping, general construction, cafeteria equipment cleaning, and general building maintenance services, and professional services like architectural services. We've been going through a kind of a workforce strategy where we're redesigning our workplace, how desks are aligned. Now, obviously, all of that has changed dramatically since the pandemic, and that we're revisiting how we'll go back to work. What does the spacing look like, and those kinds of things. But those are, in general, the things that we buy. We also have some technical assistance programs. Obviously, a presentation like this, we try to collaborate with our partners and reach as many minority and women-owned businesses as possible, and talk about how to do business with the Federal Reserve. So our strategic partners include, obviously, the Chicago MSDC, the Michigan MSDC, the Women Business Development Center, the Illinois Hispanic Chamber, WeBank Great Lakes, Asian Pacific American Chamber of Commerce, and the National Veteran Business Development Council in Detroit. Also, we partner with Chicago MSD on programming like this every year with the MBE to MBE Exchange and the MBIC Committee. And Business Smart Week has been our signature technical assistance initiative that we started back, I think, in 2013, I think. But we've had more than 2,200 attendees since our inception. Last year, we started to have Business Smart Week go national with my other Federal Reserve counterparts joining me in New York, Chicago, Dallas, San Francisco. Obviously, this year with the pandemic, we're exploring doing things virtually, but we weren't able to connect on everything this year. But going forward, we're going to really try and make it a Federal Reserve national initiative. So introducing Business Smart Pitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some of our buyers and representatives that look for specific opportunities. They're going to evaluate vendors, and what we're going to be looking for is we want you to give your Business Smart pitch to us, and then we will evaluate that and go for one-on-ones during the Business Opportunity Fair in September. And these are just some of the things that we buy that we have on the horizon. We have computer devices and equipment that we need, building services like electricians, painting, window cleaning, furniture, training, temporary staffing. We also have a need for medical services like fit for duty, evaluations, hepatitis A and B screening, different things like that. And so we will make those opportunities available to you, and so that you will have a good sense of the things we're looking for, and you can develop a nice pitch for us. So how do you participate? So what we're talking about doing is we want you to create a capabilities statement on video. We want you to upload it to YouTube or Vimeo, and then share the link with the council no later than August 14th. And then all your video links should be sent to smartbusinesspitch@chicagomsdc.org. And your video length should be no longer than 90 seconds. And the video should include your company background, problems that you can solve, product service uniqueness, mission or success. And so the next steps, there's be notification of the next steps. So the Federal Reserve buyers, we're going to review the submissions and select the MBEs of interest. Selected MBEs will be notified by August 28th and invited to meet Federal Reserve buyers at the Chicago Business Opportunity Fair corporate one-on-one matchmaking sessions. So that'll be held in September. We don't have the final date yet, but we will have that advertised in plenty of time. So the fee for participation will be waived. Meetings are going to be for 15 minutes, and the interactions are all by video. So MBEs who are not selected may still be eligible for invitations from other participating buying organizations. For corporate one-on-one details, please contact Josh Gutstein at ChicagoMBDAcenter.com. And then, as I mentioned, these are some of our strategic partners that we have been working with to provide technical assistance through and provide opportunities for diverse businesses. So we also have what we do video, so you can go to that link, and it's about a 10-minute video that gives a history of the Federal Reserve and what it does. And then if you have any questions, you certainly can reach out to me. My contact information is there below. It's 312-322-2968, or email me at the address listed below. And our procurement manager is Dana Singleton, and her contact information is there as well. So thank you. I don't know if there's any, do we have time for questions? You can take a few, and then we can turn it over to back to Jerry.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, now's a great time. Let me do one quick thing and just ask you to jot that in the chat. I see Jillian is asking, will the Federal Reserve be the only company participating in the corporate one-on-one matchmaking? The answer is no. There are multiple companies participating. As a matter of fact, Josh is still on the line. Josh, would you like to unmute yourself and give us some details about the corporate one-on-one?
Thank you, Jared. That's thank you for giving a shout out for that. We are getting all the corporate participation lined up as we speak. We're looking at a date of September 22nd, 23rd. There will be utilities one-on-one. Museums are looking for suppliers, and some other corporations as well. As you heard, the Federal Reserve will be participating. So we're looking forward to getting information out to you as soon as we have it. Thanks, Jared.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So yes, definitely multiple buying organizations participating, trying to match up qualified MBEs with the right buying organization opportunities. I see a couple of additional questions. It says link for video upload. So you create your own link. If you are to record a video, record your capabilities video, then you upload it to your own YouTube account. If you have your own business YouTube account, or you have a personal YouTube account, just upload it there. You could also use Vimeo. And once you upload it, then it creates a link. You just send that link by email. Lisa, did I answer your question? I hope so. Let's see, what else do we have?
I see Dave's question.
Yeah.
Dave asked, does the Federal Reserve Bank Chicago broadcast its procurement opportunities? If so, how? You know, that's an excellent question. Historically, we only advertise our opportunities at the two big national conferences, WeBank Conference and the NMSDC National Conference. The way that we search out opportunities is that if we're searching for vendors, I'll reach out to our strategic partners and say, hey, we're looking for these for vendors in this particular space. But we historically do not advertise like on our website or in any kind of media.
Excellent. Let's see, what other questions do we have? There was something else that I saw in regards to presentations. If you're interested, well, let me give you this opportunity. We have a chance to do a little bit of a help desk scenario. So if you have a real challenge, now's going to be the time. I'm going to say thank you to Mark for his presentation about the opportunities at the Federal Reserve. I think that not only is that important from connecting the dots, for MBEs, but as well that I would warn our MBEs the same way I warned last year and the year previous that this may become the standard. So I would not blow this situation off or miss the opportunity to take advantage of creating your own video capabilities. It's a great way not only to liven up your PDF marketing. If you're used to sending out a PDF, put the link to your video in your PDF. If you don't send out a PDF, your communications with a buyer or to a buying organization can have that link to your video capabilities in the footer of your email. So that way, even if they don't read anything else, they always have access to find out more about your company. So it is a great way, especially in these times, to stay connected and to give a little bit more of a rich or warm introduction to who you are, to your company. So definitely take advantage of this opportunity. If you do have questions, definitely raise your hand and let us know, because we're here. That's what we're here for. This is a great opportunity to get those questions addressed.
I think there was one question about, will we get this presentation? I think we can make it available. I'll ask the council to send it out to everyone that was in attendance.
Excellent. So with that, I will definitely remain on the line in the room if you just are too scared to ask your question in front of everyone else. I'll remain on the line. Our team will remain here for at least another 20 minutes or so if there's interest. If you do have questions more privately, about your settings or your issues, feel free to just let us know so we can address that right away. Tomorrow, the journey continues with the virtual conference. We have a session all about certification. It's strategies for maximizing how minority businesses can take advantage of the certification. Chandra Watson-Wilson, Lisa King are leading that session. It's at 11 o'clock. There's still time to register for that. So definitely take advantage of that. Then as well, next week, JP Morgan Chase is bringing their team to provide some guidance about keeping your business secure, resilient during the COVID-19 crisis. Excuse me. They are clearly well-trained on this, and this is what they focus on. You're talking about, global heads of business resiliency and as well cybersecurity. So that'll be a great session. We want to also take a moment, as always, to say thank you to all the sponsors, presenting sponsor, Allstate, benefactor sponsor, United Airlines, all of the great companies that support these sessions and our new way of doing things with this virtual conference and CBOF. This is an amazing year, but we could not do it without our partners and of course without the sponsors. And lastly, I just want to say thank you again to Mark. Thank you to Vince and Joyce for the remarks. Please, if you see the survey link in the chat, take advantage of the opportunity to give your feedback. And then I do see a couple additional questions. But what we'll do is we'll officially end this session. I'll stay here and answer any questions that you have. But for the rest of you, if you want to get back to your day, please enjoy your day. Have a great one. Thank you for participating, and we will talk to you officially. So
great.